Once you grasp this truth that I'm about to tell you, it'll set you free from religion. It'll set you free from parents and moms and family and governments and police, everybody. It'll set you free. And it's simply this. You are divine. God has exploded in a Crab Nebulae explosion, and he has come and manifested himself as billions of people. And you're one of you, and so am I. When I look at you, I see God. When you look at me, you see God. That's why God's name is I Am. I am God. It doesn't mean that me, God. It means I am. When you say I am God, you have to say, what is God's name? I am. What? I am God. Oh my God, then all the people, Christians run around, oh, I told you they think they're God. I don't think anything on the side. No, Jesus Christ said, the scripture says you are God, and the scripture cannot be broken. So he said it.
Yeah, like I'm not third album.
Peace, family. How you all doing? My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Ascendant Astrology, and I am your astrology coach. Today, we are going to be discussing Venus entering into Scorpio. Is that too bright? Trying to get a little light up in this. Yeah, no. But this will happen on December 4th until December 29th. Scorpio is a fixed water sign, and so a lot of these changes or transformations that'll be asked of us for this transit are going to be hard. They're going to be intense because change doesn't come easy to fixed signs. And it could be a little bit more emotional. We could be a little bit more in our feelings, or just reacting emotionally to certain things. But Scorpio is passionate. It's intense relationships, sex, intimacy, emotional depth, and it could be very healing. It's also very spiritual in a sense where it rules all the parapsychology, so astrology, numerology, palmistry, tarot, all the divinations. And then it's psychology. I like to think of astrology makes psychology fun. And so there's a lot of doing some deep research or internal work on trauma and any kind of psychological things that perhaps you have learned and that you're trying to break free from something. Scorpio is definitely about releasing and letting something go and then transforming into the Phoenix rising to that higher perspective. If you haven't caught my Moon in Scorpio video for my Moon and Sign series, I definitely go check that video out. It'll give you more information on the Scorpio energy. But essentially, that's what Scorpio energy does. It'll break something down to its smallest element so that you can rebuild back up with a new perspective, which brings you into Sagittarius energy and higher learning and education, expanding your horizons and things of that nature, right? And so living your life on your terms, being very adventurous, getting yourself out there, having faith, trusting in the process. And I'll be talking about that in the new moon, in the Sagittarius new moon that we'll be having on the 12th or the 13th. I think it really depends on where you live, but I think I put the 12th. And so if you want to catch that video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, family. I do appreciate you in advance. Leave a comment. Let me know if this video resonates, if you're going through this, how you're dealing with it. Hear from you. You know what I'm saying? If you want a reading or you want your weekly reading sent to you every week, a week in advance, you can send me an email and let me know, and I'll give you the details, more details on that. But essentially, Scorpio is also about economics because it's opposite to Taurus. And so that Scorpio-Taurus axis is about money. So from the Scorpio side, it's debt, taxes, insurances, loans, people who owe you money and people who you owe money to. So this could be bills. It could also be government money and money you get from the government. Um, yeah. And so Pluto, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, which again is about death, transformation, and rebirth, power. This can bring an increase of attraction and can make you very magnetic and alluring to others, especially for people, for Scorpio rising people and people who have Venus and Scorpio. This can be an amazing time for you. You can be very captivating to people. And then you have Venus. And Venus comes before Scorpio, and we've kind of already come out of the Venus energy, as well as we have Venus in the South Node. And so, what we've seen a lot there was a lot of people pleasing, perhaps not being your true authentic self or just being in love to be in love, right? Venus is very sensual. It can increase our desire for physical attraction or physical connections. But Scorpio is like, but I want a deeper meaning of connection. So it's going to challenge you to be real, ask the tough questions, open up and be vulnerable in order to get what you want or what you're looking for when it comes to connecting with others. And so on the flip side, in the higher vibration of this energy can be very dope if you play your cards right. But if you find yourself going through a lot more turmoil, where things feel like they're falling apart, that's just the dark night of the soul, right? That's the lower expression of Scorpio energy. And basically, all that's saying is that it's showing you where the cracks in your foundation are, wherever you're trying to build at. This could be love, money, or again, your spiritual practices and beliefs, or the psychology of your mind. How and what makes you tick? Why are you reacting to things? Why do you take things so seriously? Why are you jealous, envious, revengeful, hateful? These type of lower expressions is, it's very karmic. You have to deal with those things, figure them out, and you do that by going through the dark night of the soul to really ask yourself the deep questions to get up out of that. Or you're going to counseling, you're getting help, you're reaching out for help, you're reading and gaining more knowledge and information to understand why you're going through some of the things that maybe perhaps you might be experiencing on a lower level, when deep down inside all you really truly want is love. And this is also going to show us how economics becomes a big role in why, perhaps women are more attracted to men who have money or seem stable or things like that. Or, when you get into relationships, it's more so about, um, being careful or mindful about who you get into relationships with, because if their debt is bad, now you pick up their bad debt and you take on that debt. And how are you mixing and mingling when it comes to joint finances and things of that nature? And so we have to look at this from a global perspective, because it's always going to be about how the system works, or what are the outside expectations of us that are going to kind of control or play a role in how we're reacting to people when we're getting into relationships, or why we might perhaps get into relationships or not, for that matter, right? And so again, on the lower expression of Scorpio is crime, financial crime, gangs, mobs, attack on women, because Scorpio is a very feminine energy. It could be paying people off around money. When it comes to sexual, you know, exploitation and things of that nature. I always think about the FBI and how they kind of um, watch you to get dirt on you, so they can hold these things over your head when and if, things come down to it, as opposed to what you can and cannot say. It kind of, that is that power and control um energy that, kind of keeps somebody in a specific role for a specific reason, because maybe perhaps you were going after something for money and or the wrong reasons, or just to for pleasure, right? To get your desires off. But now you're caught up in a situation where you can't get out of it because of your desires. and wanting to have your desires, you can't get out of it because somebody might be holding something over your head for that, and they got receipts or videos or tracking your email or internet things like what are you looking up, your phone, your information, and things like that. This is very scorpionic energy, and so this could also be sexuality, sex industry, sex workers, that we can see a lot of these things being played out. And I think the most obvious person that we can probably all think of right off the bat, just by naming some of those things, is P. Diddy and what he's going through in the public eye right now, and all the secrets that are coming up that have been going on for years, and now the chickens are kind of coming home to roost, and he has to kind of deal with those things. He's going to have to pay for what he has done for wanting to have his desires, or thinking that perhaps he can get away with those things because he has money, power tripping and such. And I'm going to give you two different scenarios to show how this can really affect your money, and why this is economic warfare, right? And how they kind of keep people stuck when you're talking about being in the industry, and the importance of, yeah, money is important to have the life that you live, but it's not the reasons why you do it or the values to why you do it, which is Taurus energy. And we'll get more into that. But so you have P. Diddy who's going through this, but he's in this situation because he's getting money from somebody who it's not his money. He didn't work hard for it. He just agreed to do specific things to get this money. And now he's in a situation where, he can't really get out, or even if he does, they're going to take everything from him, right? He has no more options. He's kind of out of options. And he's paying the price for that, which is messing up his economic foundation, right? I think P. Diddy's going to be broke after this, to be honest with you. I don't think he's getting out of this time. And then you have somebody like Elon Musk, and I'm just using these two as an example because these are both very scorpionic energies and situations that we could see going on in the world. And then I'll break it down on how that leads to everyday life and problems and decisions that you create for yourself, and why it's important to really think things through. And so Elon Musk is going through um, a lot of issues with his company, where everybody kind of wants to disconnect themselves from him because of, anti-Semitism, right? And this is a really big thing to people in these higher places, that they want to control everything that you do. They don't want you to be your true, authentic self in a way. And if you are, they will kind of come down on you and try to take everything away from you. But the difference between P. Diddy and Elon Musk is that he's made a way for himself, right? He made all his money on his own. He owned stuff. He took his money and did something with it, to the point where it put him in power and control. And that's the difference between doing something for money and doing something for money for the wrong reasons, and not doing something with it. And it's really hard for people to be in the industry, getting the kind of money that they make, and wanting to build real substance because they work for somebody else. Whereas if they got the money and built themselves up and made that money on their own, then they can't really tell them what to do. They can source them out, right? So here's a list of companies that Elon Musk is being banned from because of his quote unquote anti-Semitism: Apple, Comcast, Disney, Lionsgate, Global, and Paramount. I think there were a few more, but those are the ones that really stuck out to me the most, because these are all some really pretty big fucking names. And cutting him off from that could make it seem as if he has less options, but Elon Musk isn't doing it for money. He doesn't care about money. You can tell he's putting his values, Taurus, before the money, meaning he's doing what he wants to do, building things that he thinks is going to make the world a better place, so that he can live and be free and be happy, his true authentic self, as opposed to Diddy, where he might have got into this because he was getting money out of it. It was an agreement that was made between two parties that said, hey, look, I'll give you this amount of money, but you have to follow this amount of rules. And these are the contracts and the agreements. And this is very Venus energy, right? That say, I'm going to give you this money, but you have to abide by these rules. You can't do A, B, and C. And so it kind of really put him in a bind, even though he might have been able to live a life as though he had true freedom. And this is very Pluto and Capricorn. And I think because Pluto's at wrapping up its last moments in Capricorn before it goes back into Aquarius in January, where some other things are going to be changing and transforming in very Aquarian-like ways. But Pluto's definitely going out with a bang. It's definitely bringing light to a lot of the ways that these people in power play on us as everyday people, and the importance of knowing that it's not about the money. You need money to make money, but it's not about the money. The money's not the end goal. The goal is the goal. What do you expect to get from that money? And making sure that you are investing in that, you are continuously working on that, you are continuously doing the work to build and create a life for you that's going to be happy, right? And not to say that you need money to do that. I'm just talking about money because Scorpio rules money, right? And so it's going to be different for everybody else. But just to give an example, this is how this energy could be playing out, right? And so on an everyday people level, a lot of those issues are trickling down with this quote unquote inflation, which, by the way, inflation is over with now. I bet you they're not going to tell you that. They're going to try to ride this out and get as much money from this fear mongering crap that they're doing right now. But we could see a lot of people responding, like through riots and things of that nature, because of high interest rates, credit rates going up, um, debt interest rates going up. We can hear a lot about the debt ceiling and whatever decisions they're going to make around that. Are they going to do the right thing? Or are they going to print more money? 9 times out of 10, I'm pretty sure they're going to print more money. We can hear about taxes and extra fees on things, and everything going up, causing a lot more problems than fixing them. But that's what these people do best. But again, how I think this is going to affect everybody on an everyday level is, as these things go up, what it's going to make you do is really sit down and think, like, who's in my life? Who do I have that I can trust and depend on? Who's going to help me when and if things get tough and rough? Because remember, we're talking about Venus, seventh house, which is marriage, relationships, all relationships, contracts, agreements, mentorship, um, counseling, and any kind of legal issues, or the law in general, the justice system, right? And that's talking about, the beginning stages of a relationship. And then when you get to Scorpio, it's the joint finances. This is when you're married. Literally, it's like till death do us part. And Scorpio is like, nigga, you know what I heard? You remember that it was an old comedy show. I can't even remember the black chick's name who was doing the talk. I can't remember her fucking name. She was like, you fuck with me for one night, nigga. We go together. What the fuck you thought this was? Oh my God. I don't know why that just came to my head, but what it's gonna do is it's gonna make us want to address our fears. It's gonna highlight where we're not feeling supported and where we're feeling abandoned. It's going to highlight where fear of vulnerability and being seen. And what is that all about? And going back to the psychology of it all, what makes you tick? What makes you angry? What's keeping you stuck in this kind of cycle? When we're talking about cycles, we're talking about the underworld, right? the devil, the 666, everything that everybody's afraid of. It's the dark, it's the darkness. That's what everybody's afraid of, the unknown, not knowing, not having answers. But Taurus, again, on the opposite side of this, is like take practical steps towards changing those things. If you have fear around them, build yourself a foundation, build security and stability for yourself. I start to think of like that pyramid, that needs assessment pyramid that shows you when you're at the bottom and what kind of psychological issues come with that. And you can't really move forward until you start to build. So like, I used to work in like the homeless and drug and alcohol and addiction population. And so when I was in shelters, they made you follow that needs assessment. So you'd be in a shelter for like, let's say a year, but while you was in that shelter, they had you working on finding a job, going to school if you needed to go to school, learning how to budget your money, learning how to live with other people, learning how to engage in a community of people that you don't know, learning how to communicate with them and have conversations with them and keep the peace, but keep it moving, being responsible and things of that nature. And how, each level of those things that they accomplish allow them to then at that end of the year get their own place and then implement those things in their home and grow and evolve from that. This is like the same idea of what we're talking about here when we're addressing these things and understanding why it's important to heal and do the work to go through that dark night of the soul, as a way to understand why those things happen so that when they do come up, you can put things in place to kind of help stabilize your life in some way so it doesn't feel like things are so rocky or so low or so dark, essentially, right? Um, and so repeating cycles over and over again, because of lack of healing or fear, right? This could also bring changes in the way we relate to others emotionally. This is like the willingness to confront hidden emotions, deep insights that can lead to personal growth. That's what you learn and understand while going through this healing process or the dark night of the soul. So we can question who we are banking with, who we're partnering with. You can definitely expect secrets to come out and the desire to understand what keeps you from receiving love. Be careful for the tendency again to spy, to be jealous, the resentment, possession, and anger. You know, there can be power struggles and relationship around, who's playing what role, especially with what, how the world is today. Women tend to think that they're in power because they have more opportunities. To be honest with you, that's no different than P. Diddy thinking that when he took on that deal and signed that contract, that just because he was going to be getting all this money, that he had power over his life. It's false power. They will give you this false sense of reality around these things, and then it breaks up the family. It breaks things apart. And so it's essentially building something that's not on stable ground. It's not on the truth. It's not on your real authentic self. It's not stability. It's not practical application. They're lies and half truths. And if you're not doing the research and really understanding the story behind the story, and then you're building on something that's never going to go anywhere because it's not real, right? And so, that whole dynamic of men and women not being able to communicate or come together is because of the lack of knowledge and understanding of that. Are you communicating before you get into these relationships enough to know if that person's on the same level as you? And for the most part, Scorpios will get a bad rep about this, that, they seem very mysterious and standoffish, or they'll take a really long time before they open up and trust somebody. But that's because they know once they get in there, we're not doing this over again. Like that's it. Like that's it for you, we dying together like this, and they tend to give all of their love and can be very supportive and loving people. But they're afraid of getting played or taken advantage of or used or things of that nature, right? Which then turns into resentment, fear, hate, revenge, et cetera, et cetera. And so we have to battle these things with knowledge. If you are trying to change something about your life with the same mind that got you into the problems that you were in, you will repeat this cycle. You will continuously be living your life wondering, why are these things happening to me? Meanwhile, you're not taking care of them, right? And so, you have to do the work. You have to go through the process to overcome that fear, to open up to the possibility of what can be, right? And so we'll do that in the new moon, in the Sagittarius new moon video, and talk about what that kind of looks like. Um, but I think, this whole misaligned roles between men and women is going to be a really big theme. Um, there could be struggles between balancing control and being giving. Venus is about give and take, equal give and take, being reciprocal, and being in Scorpio, which Venus does not like being in Scorpio, by the way. um you know Scorpio is like, yeah, 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 equal give and take, reciprocal and all that other stuff, but I'm gonna need you to prove to me first that you ain't coming in here to fuck up my life. And so this is when money and relationships, or money and economics become, or economics and love become a marriage. And why it's important to take your time and really consider who you're marrying, or what you're marrying into, what problems, what issues, what psychoses, what trauma do you have to deal with. And if you don't ask the questions and you get into these kind of toxic relationships, and you know most likely you want to blame somebody else, but it's both. Two people played a role because you didn't ask the right questions. You didn't see the red flags. You didn't see the signs that that person was El Pollo Loco, right? Um, it's things like that that could be coming up at this time, that though they are going to be very intense, it can be very uncomfortable, very necessary nonetheless, right? And so we can be focused on joint finances, shared resources, and investments. We're going to be more open to exploring financial partnerships, asking if we feel valued, so we may become aware of where we're putting our energy and not getting that in return. This is important because Venus is the ruler of the South Node. This can indicate like a lot of clearing things out that have not been serving you, or becoming aware of the problems and the imbalances in relationships, and really taking that and transforming that by doing the work. This could also represent things that are sweet or tempting. And so, your favorite toxic person, you like him because he got that dirt. No, let me stop. Let me stop. Oh my God. It's true though, this is the dignitized energy, or big D energy, right? Nine times out of 10, that's what a lot of us struggle with. Or it can be very Venusian in the way that it's like not wanting to be alone, or being afraid to be alone. And so if somebody's giving you the illusion of love through sex, or even just being there, doesn't necessarily have to be sex, it's still going to make you feel like, well, we might fight and we might argue, but that nigga's always still here. And for the most part, there's a part of that that's going to be a necessity, because you're not always going to get along with somebody. And this is where it starts to get real tricky. But are you growing and evolving? Or are you just repeating the same cycles in these relationships, where some days you have some good days, and then right a week or two later, you right back at it doing the same thing? There's a level of that that is toxic. Okay, you need to leave that person. If y'all can't get over an issue and leave that in the past, and grow and evolve past that issue to bring in new and other things that are coming in your life to make you guys happy together as a couple, that's a motherfucking problem, bitch. Okay, so love it or leave it. I don't care. Um, this could also be like having a desire to eat sweets or snacks or things like that, knowing that it's not good for you, right? And if you're so lucky to kind of get this at the higher vibration of this energy, it's like you can bare your soul to somebody. This is when, like I was saying, the relationship, you took the time out to get to know somebody. You talked on the phone, you asked all the right questions. You went out and dated and did other things and just coming home and fucking every night and having a nightcap or a Netflix and chill night. It was more than that. It grew and evolved over time through different activities, conversations, and meeting the family, going on trips and vacations together. And, something that just gradually builds over time through open communication and things of that nature, right? And so now with Venus entering into Scorpio, you get to open up your soul to this person. You open up to this energy. You let other people in. And this is like going deeper into the relationship, or you're recovering or restarting over in some way, shape, or form, doing things differently, trying new things together. The exciting parts, like the honeymoon stage or phase in a relationship, kind of gets amplified, very intense, and right? And so intimacy only comes when you're able to be vulnerable. And to Venus and Scorpio, is trust is very important. And if we don't get past those things, then you never really get to the good parts of the relationship. So I do think, on the lower vibrational side, it's going to be tough. You might have a hard time getting rid of somebody who you didn't put it down on, and now you got this nigga hooked. It could be stuff like that where it's really hard to get people to leave and break off or break the chains of something or some kind of habit or a cyclical process that has been going on in a relationship that you're trying to run away from. Or again, on the upswing to that, this is some, when good conversations opening up about your past, your childhood, things that you went through, and really learning where you have things in common come together and make great sex or great intimacy. A nightcap. You move to the next level. You break a barrier of the relationship that allows you to go deeper into it and really get to know the bare raw truths of somebody's soul. And that's a beautiful thing. I don't think a lot of people even know what the fuck that feels like because we're so fucked up. But there are some people out there who really do get it and they are doing the right things. And this is going to be a beautiful time for those folks. So, as usual, family, I love and appreciate you. I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.